In the north of France, there was a small village whose people were very joyful. The children played under the shades of trees in the gardens of their homes. A shepherd boy named Edward stayed near the village with his father, mother, and grandmother. Each morning he took his flock of sheep up the hills to find a suitable place for them to graze. In the afternoon he would return with them to the village. Each night his grandmother would tell him a story, the story of stars. This story really interested Edward. On one of those days, as Edward was watching his flock and playing his flute, he suddenly saw a wonderful light behind a flower bush. When he approached the bush, he saw a transparent and very beautiful crystal ball. The crystal ball was glittering like a colorful rainbow. Edward carefully took it in his hand and turned it around. With surprise, suddenly he heard a weak voice coming from the crystal ball. It said, "You can make a wish that your heart desires, and I will fulfill it." Edward could not believe that he had actually heard a voice. When he made sure that he had indeed heard that voice from the crystal ball, he was very confused. He had so many wishes that he could not decide upon one particular wish. He said to himself, "If I wait till tomorrow, I will remember many things. Then I will make my wish." He put the crystal ball in a bag and gathering the flock happily returned to the village. He decided that he would not tell anyone about crystal ball. On the following day also, Edward could not decide what to wish for because he really had everything he needed. The days passed as usual, but Edward was still unable to make his wish. But he appeared to be very cheerful. The people around him were amazed to see the change in his disposition. One day a boy followed Edward and his flock and hid behind a tree. Edward, as usual, sat in the corner, took out the crystal ball and for a few moments looked at it. The boy waited for the moment when Edward would go to sleep. When Edward did fall asleep after a while, the boy took the crystal ball and ran away. When he arrived at the village, he called all the people and showed them the crystal ball. The citizens of that village took the crystal ball in their hands and turned it around with surprise. Suddenly they heard a voice from inside the crystal ball, which said, "I can fulfill your wish." One person took the ball and screamed, "I want one bag full of gold." Another took the ball and said loudly, "I want two chests full of jewelry." Some of them wished that they would have their own palace with a grand door made from pure gold instead of their old houses. Some other wish for a bag full of jewelry. All their wishes are fulfilled, but still the citizens of the village were not happy. They were jealous because the person that had a palace had no gold and the person that had the gold had no palace. For this reason, the citizens of the village were angry with each other and stopped speaking to each other. The gardens in the village where children used to play were no more. There were palaces and gold everywhere. The children became terribly unhappy. Only Edward and his family were happy and contented. Every morning and afternoon he would play the flute. One day the children go to the village took the crystal ball to Edward. The children said to Edward, when we had a small village, we all were happy and joyful. The parents also spoke. They said, in one or another, all of us are unhappy. The luxurious palaces and jewelry only bring us pain. When Edward saw that the people were really regretful, he said, even though the crystal ball asked me to wish for something, I have not done it so far. But if you really want everything to return to its own place, then I will wish for it. Everyone happily agreed. Edward took the crystal ball in his hands, turned it around, and wished that the village would become the same as it was before. In a moment, the palaces disappeared, the green garden appeared, and the same old village full of trees was there. Once again, the people started to live happily, and the children played under the shades of trees. Edward continued his contented life every day, playing his flute at sunset. Its sweet sound was heard throughout the beautiful green village. Dear friends, we should be happy with whatever we have and not to be greedy. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe this video.